Welcome to a special episode of Sustainable Sense. Can you believe it's been 6 months since we embarked on this journey? Today is not just another episode, it's a celebration of you, our amazing listeners. And not to mention, we have a little challenge for you at the end of the episode, so stay tuned. So grab your reusable cup, find a cozy spot, and join us in commemorating 6 months of impactful conversations, positive transformations, and a commitment to sustainable living. Oh, and happy end of 2023. Welcome to Sustainable Sense, where we invest in climate defense. You're in for our hot take on all things money, markets, and the environment. As we reflect upon what a year 2023 has been, it's not just gloom and doom. It's about the power we hold in our hands to make real change. And we do need it. We're definitely in a code red situation as of now. The 2021 Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or IPCC report, underscores the alarming new realities we face, prompting a code red for humanity. The internationally agreed threshold of 1.5 degrees Celsius is dangerously close. We are at an imminent risk of hitting this 1.5 degrees Celsius in the near term, so the only way to prevent exceeding this threshold is by urgently stepping up our efforts and pursuing the most ambitious path. Inclusive and green economies, prosperity, cleaner air, and better health are possible for all if we respond to the crisis with solidarity and courage. However, despite this urgent reality, numerous countries persist in their business as usual approaches or are even making plans that exacerbate the climate crisis. Following the IPCC report, China made a surprising announcement about the construction of 43 new coal power plants and 18 blast furnaces. This move is expected to increase the country's annual emissions by about 1.5%. China, who's already a global leader in the new coal power plants, is building more than 3 times as much new coal power capacity as all the other countries combined, as reported by the Times. This announcement comes in defiance of the commitment by the world's largest polluters to reduce emissions before 2030. Even here in the US, things like the Willow Project and development in the Gulf Coast did hold us back a little bit. This shows that at least some in China and other countries are prioritizing economic growth over emissions reductions. However, both can definitely be prioritized. If you're feeling a little sentimental for the future of our environment and economy, know this. You're not navigating this roller coaster of disappointment alone, that's for sure. But let's ditch the gloom and doom because waiting on politicians is so last season. In this episode, we're turning the spotlight on you, the unsung hero in the fight against climate chaos. Brace yourself for a no-nonsense guide where we decode the real, tangible actions you can take to kickstart a climate revolution. Because buckle up, because we're about to unravel the blueprint for what I like to call the next green revolution. Picture this. You, your favorite reusable cup, and a world of impact. Let's kick things off with a money move that speaks volumes. Sustainable banking. Forget the big players funding fossil fuel projects. Just dive into impact investing. One of the biggest themes on our podcast this year was the concept of impact investing. So experts consider using sustainable banking providers as one of the most effective and straightforward actions to combat climate change. Major global banks, including JP Morgan Chase, Citi, Wells Fargo, and Bank of America, have actually provided $3.8 trillion in funding for fossil fuel projects in the 5 years since the Paris Agreement. By switching to impact investing, which is focused on using your money to address climate change and more sustainable initiatives, you not only align your money with climate-conscious institutions, but can also have an impact 27 times greater than traditional environmental actions. Not to mention, you get great returns as well. It's a significant step that empowers you to be part of a real solution. So let's delve into the world of impact investing a little bit. Picture this. Socially responsible mutual funds and ETFs, where your money supports companies aligning with ethical and environmental standards. Consider investing in community development financial institutions, channeling funds to underserved communities. And another avenue is green bonds, which is a financial instrument exclusively funding eco-friendly initiatives like renewable energy, energy efficiency, or sustainable water management, as we mentioned at the beginning of the season. So remember, thorough research and due diligence are crucial in navigating the landscape of impact investments and avoiding the pitfalls of greenwashing. Now let's flip the switch to energy. See what I did there? The electric power sector might be a climate villain, but fear not, we've got a hero in the form of solar power. The electric power sector remains a major contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. The Solar Energy Industries Association highlights the substantial contribution of the electric power sector to the greenhouse gas emissions in the United States. However, there's a renewable, carbon free alternative: solar power. The rise of community solar power programs makes them more accessible than ever. By subscribing to a share of solar power, you can contribute to renewable electricity generation, receive credits on your monthly bills, and simultaneously reduce your carbon footprint. It's a practical and impactful way to transition away from fossil fuel generated electricity. It's like having your cake and eating it too. Sustainably, of course. Plastic problems, anyone? We're talking about more than just heated debates. We're talking about real solutions. If current trends persist, plastic related emissions could reach a staggering 1.34 billion tons per year by 2030. As consumers, we have the power to make conscious choices. I know that in grocery stores and other stores, there's lots of plastic and disposable packaging that does add to the throwaway culture, but swap out plastic for eco friendly alternatives like aluminum package cleaning products, and maybe try some bamboo spoons and forks. Shout out to 3Main, True Earth, Earth Breeze, Drops, and Brighton Wool and Honey for leading the charge. Sustainability doesn't have to break the bank. Companies like 3Main are challenging the notion that sustainability comes at a higher cost. You can really save and promote a healthier environment. Now, for everyone's favorite, food. The kind that doesn't just fill your belly, but also helps save the planet. That's right. The livestock sector's impact on global warming is real. According to a 2017 scientific assessment, 23% of total global warming is attributed to the livestock sector. The environmental toll extends beyond emissions, with air pollution causing more deaths annually than emissions from coal-fired power plants. But fear not, you don't have to become a full-blown vegetarian. I mean, unless you want to. I personally enjoy it, and despite numerous contradictions with people telling me I won't get my daily protein intake, I am happy to say that, hey, it is possible. Small changes like meatless Mondays or exploring meat substitutes can be delicious contributions to reducing your environmental footprint. Get it? You don't have to give up on what you want, that's what I'm saying. When small shifts happen on a national scale, the lack of demand forces meat companies to scale back in production and hopefully limit their undesirable carbon and methane emissions. Now, here's a power move: supporting the unsung heroes fighting climate change, nonprofits and NGOs. Organizations like Rainforest Trust are dedicated to saving vulnerable ecosystems, acting as a frontline defense against climate change. In 2020 alone, over 30 million acres of tropical forest were lost, releasing more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere than all annual vehicle emissions in the United States. Supporting these initiatives becomes imperative in the face of such alarming environmental degradation. These folks are the frontline defense against climate change. Because let's face it, we can't afford to lose more acres of tropical forest. That's like playing Russian roulette with the planet. So as I promised, we're highlighting the 2023 happenings in the climate economics world, and very notably, COP28 brought us some hope. Delegates from nearly 200 countries gathered in Dubai from November 30th to December 12th for the COP28 climate conference, which resulted in nearly every country in the world agreeing to transition away from fossil fuels. This agreement represents a milestone for global climate progress, says MSCI Morgan Stanley Capital Investments chairman and CEO Henry Fernandez. Turning it into a real-world decarbonization will require support from all industries, including finance and investments. MSCI is committed to providing the data, models, research, and other tools that promote greater clarity for investors. A better understanding of climate-related risks and opportunities can drive the action needed to achieve net zero emissions. They're committed to helping investors understand climate-related risks and opportunities. Okay, so the IPCC does paint a challenging and a little painful picture, but it's not game over just yet. We still have a chance to hit the reset button. The report also emphasizes that strong and sustained reductions in greenhouse gas emissions could lead to improved air quality and stabilized global temperatures within 20 to 30 years. In 2019, the atmospheric carbon dioxide concentrations were higher than at any time in the last 2 million years, and concentrations of methane and nitrous oxide were higher than at any time in the last 800,000 years. The global surface temperature has increased faster since 1970 than in any other 50-year period over the last 2,000 years. But there is still a chance to limit climate change, IPCC experts say. As the report notes, strong and sustained reductions in emissions of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases could quickly improve air quality, and in 20 to 30 years, global temperatures could stabilize. Just imagine a world with improved air quality, stabilized temperatures, and a planet that breathes a sigh of relief. As cliche as it sounds, we can make it happen, and it starts with you. Regardless of where you are geographically or demographically, investing in green companies is always a great choice, even if that be just investing $20. Your returns and nature's returns can skyrocket with your one input. So, as we wrap up this roller coaster ride through the climate crisis, remember, it's not just about the numbers, it's about the power you actually hold in your hands. We are what makes up corporations, governments, and the world, so we cannot wait for others to make the change we want to see because our ideas can turn into realities. I personally thought I had no power as a small individual, but just this past month, I was able to present a plan to the school board and work alongside them in my district to make a step forward in electrifying my area and making our region a little bit greener in the process. The feeling that you yourself can initiate and expedite change is thrilling if you just engage with it a little bit. So, you got this. Share this episode with your friends, family, and that neighbor who still doesn't recycle. Share it at the holiday dinner table, even. Speaking of which, for this month's challenge, share something that you have done over the break or during the winter season that has made your life more sustainable, whether that be simple tasks or investing in green assets. You can email us, DM us on Instagram, or reply to our Instagram story that's up now. Let's make waves together for a planet that thrives. And you'll be featured on our next Sustainable Sense episode if you respond to this challenge. You can find us on Instagram at Sustainable Sense Podcast and find us on LinkedIn too. And if you have any questions or episode suggestions, you can email us at sustainablesensepodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's sustainablesensepodcast@gmail.com. And until next time, this is your host signing off on another chapter of Sustainable Sense. And as always, invest your sense in climate defense.